Hello and welcome back to the Spotlight Games podcast for episode 111. Today we have some discourse to join, folks. Xbox is maybe going to start releasing their games on the PlayStation, and the internet is, it's big mad, Kamen. Also, we think we have some ideas on how Suicide Squad could have been better, and I've already mentioned him, but a special someone is risen, and he's got some thoughts to share about some video games. Joining me as always, my sweet dumpster boy, Kamen. What is this? What is this sweet little look I see?
This is a sweet little look. You ready for it, Patrick?
Oh, I'm ready.
Here we go. Here we go. Look, you got business up front, baby.
Oh, yeah. Oh!
Party in the back.
Oh!
Look, side view. There you go. Prefs. Papa, the Platinum Papa's got a mullet, baby.
Oh, Platinum Papa has something that's making parts of me move, if you know what I'm saying. Kamen, it feels so good. It feels so good to have you back. Yeah. I've been 2 weeks. We had worthy guests. They did a great job being on the show. But I'd be lying if I didn't say that there was just a part of me that just missed that sweet dumpster boy. And here he is, back in the flesh. Bennett just gifted a sub. We got a fun little, fun little thing down there. How about that? First sub of the channel. We're making history, folks. We're making history. Yeah.
It's the mullet, baby.
The mullet
brings the crowd. The mullet brings the crowd.
It's unbelievable. Bennett says he subs for mullets. And if that's true, if Bennett subs for mullets, I might get a mullet too.
Let's get a mullet too.
If 2 mullets means 2 subs, fucking let's boogie, doggy dog. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Welcome back, Kamen. I'm glad you're here. Folks, as you might know, for those of you that are here live right now, first of all, thanks for being here. I've seen Liz, I've seen Bennett, I've seen Terry in the chat. I've seen Cognitive Clips also gifting a sub. I missed that at first. Unbelievable. Like, can you believe it? But here's what I want to say. I personally can't. Here's what I want to say though. We're in a new era of Spotlight Games podcast. I'm doing everything on OBS. We're in a Discord call right now. I'm bringing you in. And the reason I'm saying this, I'm pulling the curtain back and showing you something sweet inside, you know what I'm saying, is I need the chat's help with audio levels. Tell me if things are wrong. Because the thing is, the thing we used to use auto adjusted our levels. And now I got some knobs off screen that I'm adjusting. If it doesn't sound good, I need you to tell me, because I'm learning and burning how to do these audio levels on the fly with the little knobbies. Look at that. Bennett with another sub, unless it's on repeat, but I think that's maybe another sub. Because we're getting into all sorts of fucking housekeeping that I wasn't expecting, but that's just the party we're having today. We're Twitch affiliates now, which means that we can technically make money by being on stream. How the breakdown works, we're getting lawyers involved to figure that out. But good. I have no idea how it works, but I know that we're going to get a cut of all the subs, all the bits, all the tips that happen on this channel now. So we're going to start streaming a lot more outside of the podcast. So we're excited. But so for all of you that have just subbed, brought a little smile to my heart. But Kamen, we have a lot of video game stuff to talk about, because this is the Spotlight Games podcast where each week we spotlight the latest and the greatest in the world of video games. You can get it by subscribing to our YouTube channel at Spotlight Games Pod, or by searching for Spotlight Games in your favorite podcast app. And hey, you can be on the show by tuning in as we record live Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on twitch.tv/Spotlight Games Pod. So be sure to follow us there so that you're notified when we go live, so you can be part of the conversation. Kamen, we have an announcement. It's just like... What fun we're having. We got announcements. We got subs. Why don't we bring in a little graphic? LOL. It's behind the camera. We're learning, baby. Let's see. Let's do this. Boom. In front of the camera. Starting next week, doggy dog. I think it might be Valentine's Day that we're starting. Wednesday night. Every Wednesday night until we beat the game. My sweet wife and I, Rose, are going to be streaming The Last of Us Part 2 with Rose on the controls. She's going to be controlling the sticks. We're going to work through our way through The Last of Us Part 2, because the truth is, I'll use any chance I can to talk about The Last of Us. But something that we don't really talk about on the show is that Rose also loves The Last of Us. She was a huge fan of the show. She's watching me play a lot of it. She's seen parts of part two. If you've played it, she knows of certain spoilers in part two that we're not going to say right now. So she has a little bit of knowledge, but she's never played the game, and we're going to change that. So starting next Wednesday at 8 p.m., we're going to every Wednesday play through The Last of Us Part 2 on Spotlight Games Pod, YouTube, together. It's going to be a great time. I hope that the party continues next Wednesday on Spotlight Games Pod, Twitch, for a little Last of Us Part 2. Cole Hash Jr. says, let's go. I'm so ready for this. I am too. I'm really excited. I'm very excited about getting our feet wet with some game streaming, Kamen. And Rose too. We did a little test, not on stream, obviously. We did a little test, just playing through some Last of Us together, just talking, and we were both like, I think this is gonna be fun, and I think the audience is gonna like it. So I hope to see you next week. But Kamen, I've been rambling. Kamen, I've been raving. I want to talk about what we've been playing.
What have we been playing, Patrick?
You've been gone for 2 weeks. You have a lot to discuss. Gimme.
So, if you tuned into one of Patrick's live streams, so the first week I was out was due to inclement, poor weather, and then the power went, and then the internet went right after.
Yeah.
So you would have missed me if you didn't tune into Patrick's live stream. You would have missed me give a lengthy, deep dive review on how I platinumed Skyrim for the very first time. And I would recommend going and watching that video because I'm not going to talk about it again. I spent 30 minutes monologuing. So go and watch that video. It's on YouTube. Just probably timestamp, maybe. I don't know. Who knows? But just go watch it anyway.
Actually, it is timestamped for the record.
So if you want to hear my platinum review of Skyrim, either go there or go to the Discord channel. You can read my platinum review right now in Discord. But Patrick,
yes,
I've been very sick, as you know.
I do know this. Week. I've been worried about you.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. So I'm 70 hours into Yakuza Infinite Wealth at this point.
Oh.
And the truth is, I feel like that's a bad it's a bad way to explain the fact that, like, from what I've seen, the actual campaign,
don't cry,
it's probably around 40 hours.
Okay.
So when I was sick, I spent so much time so much time focused in on doing all of the random side activities like pervert Pokemon Snap and pervert Pokemon.
Yeah.
And pervert Animal Cross. Actually,
big on the perverts in this game.
They really like the perverts, okay?
Yeah.
So either way, I spent a lot of time. So I think this is what I love about Yakuza Infinite Wealth is I think that, like, Infinite Wealth is a great example of how there's certain games where each person who comes to the game is going to have a very different experience of what they get from the game.
Yeah.
Someone could easily go in, and I think the reason this game is really good is that, like, the first Yakuza Like a Dragon, which was my game of the year, I could easily say, like, there were some ludicrously wild, just, like, difficulty spikes, which made you grind for a long period of time.
Sure.
Some people like that. Some people don't like that. I personally enjoy that part. So, like, this was good for me. I was, like, totally cool with this. And I was content. However, this time around, they really don't make you grind as long as you're continuing to proceed like you normally would play a game. Like, you can pretty much just, like, biz-bop through. And you know, you're going to have to do a little bit of, like, extra battling here and there. But, like, that's what the game's for anyway.
Sure.
It's kind of designed like that. So, I think they do a really good job of setting this up to be, like, you don't have to do Dondoko Island. You don't have to do Pervert Snap. Or Sicko Snap is what they call it.
Yeah.
You don't have to do Sujimon. Like, you don't have to do any of that. You can just play the campaign, which is great because the campaign's fucking amazing. It has one of the best Yakuza storylines I think I've played so far.
Yeah.
I think it's also a great entry point for people who've never played a Yakuza game, because the big thing here is that your main character has been Kiryu through the entirety of Yakuza up until Infinite Wealth. Or sorry, up until Like a Dragon,
Right.
where it switches to Kasuga. So if you don't play Kasuga's story, they really do a good job of like kind of setting the stage of like, here are all the things that really happen that you should be aware of. And now there's some stuff that's like some that you're gonna be missing some context for certain things here and there, but for the most part, it does a good job explaining what happened in the previous title.
I agree.
Now with Kiryu's story, what I love how they do it is they're basically setting the stage for like, this is the last time you're gonna see him. He's not going to be carrying the torch anymore. The legend of the Dragon of Dojima is done. So what they do is, for people who are not like as in the know about Yakuza, the way they tell his story in the game, they give you memories. So like everyone is like, this dude is a legend. This dude is the greatest Yakuza to ever exist. Why? If you already know why, and it's like a good, like, we're gonna give you a bunch of teasers and a bunch of Easter eggs and a bunch of shit that like is gonna be fan service. However, if you've never seen or played a game, you're now gonna learn all of these major moments in his life, and you're learning them after knowing he's a badass. So it's this really cool thing of like, let's teach you as the game goes on why this character is as crazy beloved as he is, and you learn this as the game goes on. So I think it's a really clever way that they've done both. And I think with me being 70 hours in, I'm on chapter 11 now of 14. I probably have maybe another 15 hours of the story, or maybe probably less than that, but I probably have another 15 hours before like I'll finish what I need to do, and then I'll focus on the platinum. So far though, this is a 5 out of 5 golden shovels. This is a game I will platinum. This is a game that I can say this is a top 3 JRPG. It is so exquisitely done. And I think the big thing here for me, especially about this game and why like I think everyone should play it or give it a shot, is because this is one of those rare instances of a game that its tone is perfect. And I feel like JRPGs have a really difficult time of being like, we are so wacky and so crazy, and then it's like, where everything's so wonky and shit, and then we're just gonna turn around and we're gonna be like, we're gonna go super serious. Yakuza Infinite Wealth understands this so well. It like, you can have the most absurd scenario happening at the same time you have one of the most depressing side quests that you will complete in any game.
Yeah.
And then the thing is, no one bats an eye at it. And so it's like you all of a sudden become like enveloped in this world in which like everything's really wacky, but it fits because this is the universe it's in.
And if I can chime in just for a second.
Incredible.
Also,
yeah, absolutely.
It also fits because like what I was saying last week and what you have said on this podcast so much is that Ichiban Kasuga is fucking incredible.
Yes.
Like he's the best.
He's the best. Absolutely the best.
And like there's so much. So since last week I've put in another maybe 5 hours. I'm in chapter 5. I've been in Hawaii now for I guess 2 chapters. My party has grown. Like I've been doing more of like the side stuff, and at every turn, like Kasuga is just such a delight. Like there are times that there's this one character that just like keeps calling him an idiot because of the way he's acting, but it's like, yeah, he's an idiot, but I still love him. It doesn't matter that he's an idiot. In fact, it's charming that he's an idiot. And I think that's why a lot of this works.
My favorite part is there's a side quest. You probably haven't gotten to it yet, but you have to. It's like one of the big final fights of like it's one of the secret boss battles in Like a Dragon.
Okay.
Where you have to fight a giant Roomba.
I've not.
And what I love about it is like the scientist who made Roomba calls Kasuga Lord Shrub.
Okay.
And it is the funniest thing. There's another one when you start off your Suijimon battling, and you get your first set of your starters for your team. The guy comes up and he's like, "Hey, you must be Itchy Balls Kasuga." And the guy's like, Kasuga's like, it's Ichiban. He's like, oh man, sorry, it was a bad connection. And it's just like everyone dumps on this dude. But then when any of the people, um, when you like when you have like all these other characters, when they talk about him when he's not in the room, they're always like, Kasuga is literally the greatest human being. We would kill ourselves for this man.
Yeah.
And you're over here as the person who's playing him, and you're also like, I will murder
yeah.
a man for Kasuga.
Correct.
He's the best boy. There's nothing. He's like the complete antithesis of like what I think everyone thinks characters should be, heroes should be. He's like the antithesis of Joel, right?
Oh, sure.
Or Joel and Ellie.
Sure.
Because there is no complexity to Kasuga outside of the fact that he wants to be a hero. He wants everyone to love him.
Yeah.
And he just wants to be the best possible version of himself he can ever be.
Yeah.
And you can't not root for him.
Yeah.
In everything he does, which makes playing as him so much better. And like, just, I love it. Either way, absolutely love this game. I cannot recommend it enough. Please, for the love of God, everyone go play Infinite Wealth. They sold 1 million copies.
And they did.
So
they fucking did it. We fucking did it.
Fucking did it. We fucking did it.
Yeah, no, I'm having a great time. I honestly can't wait to keep going. Because I just it's like pure happiness, the game, in a lot of ways. It's great. Yeah. The reason that I didn't put nearly as much into Infinite Wealth since last week is because I finally finished both Cyberpunk 2077 and its expansion Phantom Liberty. The final report, man, was I wrong about Cyberpunk.
Yes.
That game is so fucking good, dude. Like,
good.
If you're in our Discord, which you should join, which I didn't say at the top of the show during the housekeeping because it was just so many fun things were happening. I'm going to share a written review later in the Discord. But I think for me, kind of my lasting impression of Cyberpunk and because I talked about it a fair amount last week, so I don't want to necessarily go on too long, but it is, I think, easily one of the best action RPGs ever made. And I think it is easily one of the most impressive cinematic experiences in video games. We talk about cinematic like masterpieces a lot, with things like The Last of Us, God of War, and Cyberpunk is so different from those games, but their own like version of that cinematic flair, it just fucking works. And like,
it does. Yeah.
Johnny Silverhand was a character that it took a while to grow on me, but by the end of it, I was like, I would die for Johnny Silverhand. And then there's a character in Phantom Liberty that is like one of my favorite characters in a video game. Just really like her name is Songbird. Just like Phantom Liberty, which I spoke a little bit about last week, as a story, I think is a triumph for storytelling in gaming. Like it's so good the way, but it's not just because of what the story is, it's because of the way it filters into Cyberpunk. And also, that is just something else that I think is so impressive about Cyberpunk. When you talk about a game and a game's story, so often like it can be boiled down to, and this can actually kind of be really any story, but specifically I'm talking about video games, of like there's a character that wants something. And there are going to be various things that get in the way of what that character wants. And something that this game does that I think more games should do is that virtually every single side quest directly informs the main quest with what the character wants. Like you're trying to essentially cure this thing, and all of the side quests are about furthering, like trying to find a cure for this thing. I say all, maybe not every single one. When you're just stealing cars for this guy, that's not kind of pushing it forward by any means. But I was just so impressed by the way that they were able to, all of the kind of important side quests, filter that into the main quest in a way that made it feel like the side quests weren't side quests, that they were just extensions of the main quest. Am I making sense? Am I rambling?
Yeah. No. You're making total sense.
Yeah, and it just,
I distinctly, Yeah, I can distinctly remember from like standard Cyberpunk that's not necessarily the case with the way the side quests are structured.
Yeah.
Um, so that is cool. I like how they're doing, like how the side quest means something more
Yeah,
in the
and
grand
like
scheme of things.
and by the end of it, I'm not going to spoil the final mission by any means, but like I get to the final mission and I had finished Phantom Liberty by that point because the way that it works in the structure of the story, like as you had shared, which I'm glad you did with me, if you're going to go in completely fresh with these, like you want to finish Phantom Liberty before you finish the main game, for reasons I won't go into depth here. But then I'm starting up the main quest and it's like pulling stuff in from Phantom Liberty that like obviously that wouldn't have been the case 6 months ago when Phantom Liberty wasn't out, but they weaved it into the main narrative so nicely that it was like I felt compelled to like choose the Phantom Liberty options because like, well, this is new in a way, right? So yeah, really, really impressed with Cyberpunk as a whole and Phantom Liberty especially. I think if I had finished Phantom Liberty and Cyberpunk last year, it would have cracked the top 10 for sure, I think. So yeah, I'm going to give it 5 out of 5 across the board, both Cyberpunk and Phantom Liberty. And my last note on it with the score is interestingly, I would have landed at a 4 out of 5 on Cyberpunk, but Phantom Liberty, I think elevated it to the 5 for me.
Really? Okay.
Which I just think is really cool
But
that like DLC
just
could do that.
let me ask the question because I am curious.
Yes.
Did you complete the prisoner side quest, the like super controversial prisoner side quest?
I did. That was really strange. I wanted. It makes sense that you say it's controversial because I was playing it. And I was like, is this game really making me do this?
Yeah, it's. How did you feel of like did you because that's one things that I distinctly remember, like I've had conversations with people about this in the past.
Yeah.
When game first came out, people were like, yeah, I was like digging it, and then that side quest came up and I was like, why is this here? Also, I don't know if I like this.
Yeah, we're going to spoil this side quest. So if you don't want to be spoiled about anything with Cyberpunk, specifically this side quest, skip ahead like 30 seconds. This is your final warning. Skip ahead. So yeah, this side quest, you help this prisoner. It starts by you're hired to kill this prisoner. And then you have the choice, which Cyberpunk does so well. It gives you choice so often throughout that really impact the way the story goes. You can choose not to kill this prisoner. And if you don't, you find out that he thinks that he is like essentially like Jesus reborn. And he kind of thinks that he is this like prophet now, and he wants to go and heal people, not like physically heal them, but like he wants to essentially make this movie of him crucifying himself, literally. And the thing that makes it controversial, I'm assuming, is that you actually physically crucify him, like you nail him to a cross by pressing buttons. And I was like doing this. It's like 2:30 a.m. that I'm doing this. I'm like, am I fucking stoned right now? Like it's wild. Like I was like so fucking weird. But I appreciated that they felt confident enough in the story that they did something like that. I felt like my V, the main character, it felt against the character to actually participate in it, but I wanted to. As Patrick, I wanted to. I was like, is it really gonna let me do this? Because as you're going, like you have the choice of being like, no, you're fucking crazy. I don't want to be a part of this. But I was like, but Patrick wants to know, and so I was, going through it. It's like, fucking, and then the guy's dead. Like he dies, and then the mission ends. It was so weird.
I think there's like one follow up after the mission's over where you talk to someone and they're like, I can't believe you fucking did that.
Yeah. I'm like,
it's like,
I kind of can't either.
Fair.
Yeah. Jordan in the chat wants me to show him my V, not show him my V, tell him about his V. Now I took it to show and tell. That's on me. But yeah, fucking crazy side quest. But yeah, really great game overall. I think, the improvements that it made in the 2.0 update, because I first played it in the 1.5 update, which if you don't remember, the 1.5 update was just like, hey, the game works now. But 2.0 was, hey, not only does the game work now and we have this new content, but also we kind of redid like a lot under the hood, specifically with skill trees and progression. And the changes that they made in the progression really, really clicked for me in a way that in 1.5, one of the reasons that I kind of walked away from it outside of just being kind of generally bored was I don't understand what any of these skills are. I don't know what I should be trying to do, like what I should be trying to avoid. The internet wasn't very helpful. The internet seemed as confused as me for the most part. But the 2.0 update, I feel like, really mainlined it and streamlined it and made me feel a lot more comfortable with progressing in the game. So, 5 out of 5. Go play the game if you haven't, and anything I said interests you, or if you just want to crucify someone, because you can in the game. Kamen, any other games that you've been playing that you want to talk about before we jump into the big story of the week?
I've been playing life, bro.
You're telling me,
Wolf.
brother.
Brother.
Well, Kamen, someone who's playing life and, maybe losing a lot lately is Xbox.
Are they, though?
Well, that's what we're going to talk about. So we have a story here that, the whole fucking internet is losing their goddamn mind about. And by the whole internet, obviously, I mean gaming internet. Through various leaks, it seems like Xbox is maybe going multi-platform. So we're going to talk about it. So I'm going to pull this story from Andy Robinson at VGC. Andy writes, Microsoft is reportedly planning to release Starfield on PlayStation 5 as part of a new initiative to bring more Xbox exclusive games to other console platforms. That's according to Xbox Era, which cites anonymous sources who claim that the Bethesda RPG is being planned for release on Sony's console alongside previously rumored Hi-Fi Rush and Sea of Thieves ports. According to the publication's sources, Microsoft is planning to release Starfield for PS5 after the game's planned Shattered Space expansion, which is due to arrive on Xbox and PC later this year. It's claimed that Microsoft has made additional investment into PS5 dev kits to support the development efforts. Bethesda's upcoming Indiana Jones game could be another first-party Xbox title set to release on the PS5, according to The Verge, which is a very, very reputable news outlet. Quote, a new multi-platform approach for certain Xbox games is emerging inside Microsoft, we're told, with the company weighing up which titles will remain exclusive and others that will appear on Switch or PS5 in the future, it wrote. Bethesda will reportedly launch its Indiana Jones game first as an Xbox console exclusive, followed by a possible PS5 release some months later. The other one that I've heard, this is a quote, the other one that I've heard that's definitely under consideration, it doesn't mean that it's going to happen, but it's in talks, is Gears of War, Jeff Grubb said on Monday. Grubb also said that Microsoft was at one point planning to publicly explain its new initiative at the end of February, but that given the mounting speculation, there's a chance that an official announcement could be brought forward, which there is an update to this story on VGC that Phil Spencer tweeted yesterday, quote, we're listening and we hear you. We've been planning a business update event for next week where we look forward to sharing more details with you about our vision for the future of Xbox. Stay tuned. Kamen, what's going on?
Patrick, do you remember last year? One of my predictions I got wrong was that Xbox was going to publish no less than 5 games.
I do remember this prediction.
Okay, here's the thing. I was just slightly off. I went back and thought about it, and I was like, you know what? There's a reason I was off, and it was because I was expecting the Activision acquisition to take place sooner than it did. It got delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed, and then it was court hearings and all this shit. So because of that, I was off by like 9 months, which is, fair. Here's the thing. This is something we've had discussions on before, where Xbox's strategy, buying out Bethesda, buying out Activision Blizzard, buying out Ninja Theory, buying out these major, massive studios compared to Sony, who typically will buy a lot of small independents or smaller studios, and then kind of grow them and develop them. So the issue with the way that Microsoft is going about it, and we've already seen this with the almost 2,000 layoffs, is that it's not sustainable to spend that amount of money in an ecosphere where games take 4 to 6 years to release. So you think about something like when Disney bought Marvel or Disney bought Lucasfilms or Disney bought Fox, when that takes place, they have movies that are coming out constantly. So they're making their money back like pretty much right off the bat.
Right.
In video games, that's not possible, right? So the layoffs were a course of action. They can't sustain having that many bodies on the floor. But also, they need to make money and they need to make money fast.
Yeah.
And to do that, they're going to have to. There's not a question. They're going to have to release games elsewhere because Game Pass is not going to sustain the business model, and people are not buying Xbox consoles at the rate that I think is anywhere near what PlayStation 5 is at right now, or even Switch. So, with that being said, this makes sense. The good news for Xbox is they still have a library that might not be as critically acclaimed as Sony's, but they still have a library of games that they can start trickling over to Xbox or over to PlayStation or over to the Switch. And it could be things like Gears of War, Crackdown, like earlier Forza titles can be shifted, and they can now all of a sudden make a ton of money off of games they released 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, will the Xbox community like this? Absolutely not. But for Xbox to remain a studio or like remain a publisher and a console maker, they have to do this. There's no give and take.
The thing that I think is so fascinating is I think this is great, if I'm being totally honest. And I don't know that we are in a place yet where the Xbots are going to find us, the people that are so upset about this. But I think the truth is that this is good for everybody because Xbox, I mean, we talked about it on the show months ago. Like they've already admitted that like they lost the console war. They're in third place. They have been for a long time, but they still make great games. And now by acquiring Bethesda, they have just so much more potential for more great games down the line. And we talked ad nauseum about like, does this mean, back when the acquisition was happening, like are all games going to be Xbox exclusive now? And we kind of case by case at some points, but then so many of the games that they said like, oh no, this is going to be exclusive. But then now it's like in hindsight, they'd be silly not to do this, I think, as a business. And at the end of the day, that's what they are. They're one of the biggest businesses in the world. They're $1 trillion company. They're a publicly traded company. As Terry was saying in the chat, there's fiscal years, there's stocks, there's contracts that John was saying. Like, it's such a complicated thing because it's fucking business. And this is going to make them more money, full stop. Like, by bringing Indiana Jones to PlayStation 5, even if there's a delay, even if it's day one, you get it on Game Pass, and then 6 months, 9 months, 12 months down the line, if you don't have an Xbox, but you want to play Indiana Jones, give us $70 and you can play it. It's another $70 that they weren't going to get because that person's probably not going to buy an Xbox, right? So it's like, I find it so interesting and fascinating and disappointing that so many people on the internet think that this is like, well, Xbox fucking betrayed us. There's no point in being a fan of Xbox anymore. It's like, what?
If you don't mind, I actually have a perfect tweet from someone who has almost 30,000 followers on Twitter, and is like an Xbox person, right? They posted, what would happen if the rumors were true and Microsoft decided to bring all big Xbox first-party titles to PlayStation 5s? Here's my response. 1, all longtime Xbox owners would be at a huge disadvantage and would be treated as lower-class citizens by Microsoft, since Xbox can't play Final Fantasy, Spider-Man, Stellar Blade, etc., but PS players can play all those and would also play Xbox first-party games. After so many years waiting for consistent delivery of great exclusive and enduring the hate from PS fanboys and media, Xbox players would feel betrayed and fooled. It continues. There's 7 points. I really don't want to go through anymore. There is one here. that I think is really important, though. It's point number 5.
Okay.
This would result in Microsoft fully abandoning the Xbox console, since players would have no advantage from it. Game Pass is also on PC. Well, to Mr. Excision on Twitter, I would like to tell you, good sir, the person sitting across from me on this podcast is the perfect example of why that's not true. This man, and I love him dearly, it has the worst case of FOMO of any human being I have ever met.
It's correct. It's true.
So Patrick, if you what you do, and this is what Xbox will do, there's not a question of like if, it's a will. What they're going to do is they're going to come out either 6, 9, or 12 months later. You want to play Starfield? Guess what? It's going to be coming out in June. We've given all of these console players for Xbox access for months. It's like what PlayStation does right now for PC, right? So what you do is you go out and you say, hey, if you have Game Pass, you will get all of these games first day and date. Patrick will buy an Xbox or play on his PC. He will have Game Pass. They're not going to stop making consoles. People are still going to be buying these consoles.
Yeah.
The truth is, what is happening is this is like the crescendo of the console wars, is where the truth comes out that it's not my console's better than yours. It's I don't want you to have what I have.
Correct. That is the real thing here. And it's so fucking stupid.
Yes, and it's like, why would you, if you had a world where you could play Halo on a DualSense, I'm sorry, fucking do it.
Yeah.
That is, the DualSense is a better controller. It's okay.
That haptic feedback with Master Chief.
Yeah.
Come on, dude.
Yeah, like there's big things. Like here's the thing. Like if I'm not mistaken, the specs say at least last gen was true. Not that it mattered much, but Xbox typically is a stronger, more powerful console, and a lot of times can run things better than PlayStation. And so it's not the give and take is there. The issue boils down to that some people don't want other people to have what they have. They want that exclusivity regardless. Correct. And so I think what's happening is we're getting to that point where Xbox will still make consoles. Game Pass will get all of these games first. Xbox is going to do good because they're not only going to make money from Game Pass and for people who are buying it day and date on Xbox, but they're also a year down the line going to get that same amount of money a second time. Their return on investment's doubled. So like, this is awesome for Xbox.
Yeah. And the one thing I want to know, the two things that I want to know, Kamen. The first is, when was this originally planned? Like he says, it was going to be, I think, end of the month is what the tweet said, but they've pushed it up to next week. And with that, like, is this going to be a video? Is this going to be a press conference? Like, is this just going to be an article? I'm curious about that. And
it's definitely now going to be a video.
And like, what does it look like within the halls of Microsoft right now? I'm sure people are running around because it's like, can Microsoft not ever message something the right way? It's like they are always putting their foot in their mouths.
It's insane.
And the second thing is that I want to know is, and this is just out of curiosity, the answer actually means nothing to me. But is it going to be everything, or is it going to be pick and choose? Like, is it going to be that, oh yeah, we've decided that Blade is going to be multi-platform. We've decided that Gears of War is multi-platform, but Halo we're keeping. Like, I'm interested to see, like, is it going to be an everything or a some things? Because I feel like if it just starts with a some things, it's eventually just probably going to be everything. But I don't know, maybe not.
I would say it'll most likely start with some things, and it'll go one of two ways. If they see the return on investment is like real good, then they'll go to everything. If they see the return on investment is good enough, but not good enough to warrant them to drop something like Starfield, like, or the next Halo, like, not drop that. The truth is, at the end of the day, I think if they make enough money off of this, and they will, by just releasing old Xbox games right off the bat, the shareholders, the stock price is going to skyrocket, and they will never be able to back down.
Yeah.
It'll be just fucking raining cash over there.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm like, do I go buy some Microsoft stock? Like, no joke. Because they're just going to be making so much more money. And John says, I'm almost sure there's going to be a delay. To clarify, I do also think that this will always be a delay situation. I don't think it's going to be like a day and date. You're getting an Xbox first party IP on a PlayStation, and with the obvious exceptions of like Call of Duty. But I mean, are they all going to eventually come with a delay, or is it going to be just like some of them come with a delay? So just clarity on that one. And Terry says, I think it depends on how much money comes in from other platforms / companies. What Kamen said. Retweet. Also want to scroll back up in the chat. Jordan, aka Cognitive Clips, wrote in, IMO, that tweet sounds like they were always planning on announcing something next week or at least soon, but then people leaked the info. A lot of people like, what the fuck, why wait that long? But I think it makes sense to wait if they already needed that time / planned on talking about it anyway. Yeah, I think a week is them being like, let's just make sure I fucking know, like I'm saying the right thing. Like I think it's them making sure that they don't fumble this, because the backlash just from rumors was already insane, that they want to make sure that they don't miss with how this, I'm sure they want to be crystal fucking clear across the board with what they're going to say about this. So, but
the
yeah,
truth too, like, and I don't want to belabor the point, but the truth too is once they start doing this, once they release a couple games, no one's going to talk about this anymore.
Probably not. Once it's clear like what the plan is, I think I think we're not going to be talking about it anymore.
Yeah. So, I mean, hopefully, maybe we all look out and this ends the console war.
Maybe. I would like that.
Nintendo fanboys like start crawling out of their caverns, and they all look like Gollum.
They have Splatoon paint all over them. Yeah.
Did someone say Star Fox? Evan Brando comes crawling out of his moss-covered hole in the world.
Yeah. What a bad game.
That screaming gabagoo.
What a bad game. But yeah, so that's happening. And I'm sure maybe not by the time we record next week, but because they haven't said what day they're doing this announcement, but we'll either give you guys the update next week or the week after. Sorry, I just yawned. How rude of me. Kamen.
Yeah.
I got duped. I thought there was going to be a Nintendo Direct today, but there was a Nintendo Direct this day last year. So instead, we're going to close out the show by talking about Suicide Squad. Here's the thing. Neither of us have played Suicide Squad. And I'm curious if anyone in the chat has played Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. I'd love to hear from you.
Patrick, can I be completely honest with you about something?
Yeah.
I almost went off with the Portal joke again and was like, you know what? The audience, if you want to see the dumpster boys suffer, fork out the $70. We will fucking play the game for you right now.
Yeah.
It's like, I promise I do not want to play that game.
No.
Seriously, actually don't take me up on that, because do not want to play this.
Yeah, so if you've not been following along, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League officially launched last week. Its current Metacritic is a 61, and its current OpenCritic is a 59.
Oof.
Compared to the Arkham trilogy that came before it, with an 87 and like a 94 and like a 96 or something across those games. They fucked up. Like this.
They fucked up.
They fucked up. And I think step one of this fuck up was that it's a games as a service. It's not the finite experience that they became so good at making. And you play as the fucking bad guys. Terry says, I tend to stay away from games that don't provide review codes with the sweat smiley. I mean, certainly would have worked out for you this time. That's for sure. That's for certain. I did a bad thing. I'm not going to spoil this game, but I did a bad thing, and I just read the entire plot synopsis when I decided I'm not ever going to play this game. And I'll tell you what. This game sounds not very good
Jesus, man.
from a story perspective, because like that's the one thing leading up to Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. The one thing that I told myself, and the one thing I hoped for, was that yeah, but it's Rocksteady. So like even if the gameplay with this new games as a service fucking shoot 'em up sucks, I bet they're gonna tell a banging story. It's Rocksteady. Reading the beat by beat of this game, oh boy, doesn't sound
Here's
very
the
good.
thing that the only thing I've seen that like has been positive about this has been people who've been like, the story's ass, but there are genuine laugh out loud moments in it
Which
where like
I
the
hope is
characters
true.
are funny.
Yeah,
And so you kind of stick around for the story, even though the story is kind of, from what I've seen, I think the word that had caught my eye was tepid. And I think that like that's kind of, and another person, and I'm more like I'm very like I love my comic books. I'm a nerd, and I think one of the big things when people are like, "This is the most DC ass DC story,"
yeah,
that you would get as like this is the big, we're gonna change the universe up, we're gonna do a new 52 kind of thing,
yeah.
you know, and this is the most DC way to do that. And when I read that, I was like, yeah, man, this doesn't sound like I want any part of it. And then reading everything else, I'm like, yeah, man, this definitely does not sound like I want to play a single minute of this game.
No, and the word I heard that was the nail in the coffin for me was soulless. When I heard
Oh
someone
yeah.
describe it as soulless, I was like, ooh, because that's like the thing about Arkham that I think always worked for me, other than they told a banging story, was it felt like you were in Gotham. It felt
Mhm.
like the world that they built. It was the fucking like the dream of a Batman kid. Like I'm Batman
Yeah.
in Gotham, fucking fighting crimes. I'm fighting all these guys that are calling me bats. Hey bats, get over here! Like those fucking guys I got to beat to a pulp.
Mhm.
And it was fun. But then reading,
Mhm.
yeah, hearing that this game feels like a bullet sponge bonanza, soulless, it's like, man. And so all of that preamble to say, so Kamen and I were texting about this, and we started tossing around some ideas on how we
Mhm.
think this game maybe could have been better. So let's have that as a full conversation, because we kind of stopped ourselves like we should save this for the podcast.
Sure.
Kamen,
Yeah.
what is one thing that you would have done differently about Suicide
So
Squad Kill the Justice League?
So I think the big thing for me when it comes to any type of games of the service like this, like in two of my favorite shooters, first person, third person, have been Destiny, specifically Destiny 2, and the Division 2. Well, both Division 1 and Division 2. Those I love those games. And I think what they do right is that they give you the ability to live inside the universe as the person you want to be. And I don't think you necessarily have to say like you get full creative liberty or it has to be an RPG. I don't think that's necessary, but you have to give the player a reason to continue to remain in that world. And I think Marvel's Avengers is a perfect example of like the first time we saw that go wrong with an IP like this
Yeah.
was because they said, "Hey, you can be Iron Man, Thor, Black Widow, Kamala, and that's it." I mean, Hulk. I think that
Yeah.
was it at
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
point. And they're like, here are the characters you can be. If you boot into a lobby and someone's already Iron Man, guess what? You can no longer be Iron Man. So now you're gonna have to play as a character you might not have ever played as, or isn't leveled up to where you need, or don't really know what to do with it, or just don't like playing as that character because maybe someone else has Thor and someone else has Hulk.
Right.
So now you're playing as Black Widow. And because of that, it removes this ability to live inside the world. It removes that feeling of agency that you have. So, my thing I would do would be to scrap the idea of you playing as an already existing member of Suicide Squad. You've got those characters, write them well, make them auxiliary persons that drive the narrative, and then let you create your own supervillain to be in the Suicide Squad. Now I can make whatever character I want to be, and I'm never gonna have to run into an issue where I'm teaming up
Sure.
with someone who I can't play as. So
Yeah, because I
give
think
you
I think that would fix two things for me. That issue that you just outlined, but then also like I just respectfully don't give a shit about Captain Boomerang, King Shark, Deadshot, and like I care about Harley Quinn. I would if I were to play this game, I would want to be Harley Quinn because she's the only one of the four that I fucking care about in the slightest.
Yeah.
Although I did hear that the performance of King Shark by Samoa Joe is great. I've heard it's like maybe I would consider being King Shark for that reason. But like, yeah, if I could create my own character, then like I get to actually care. And like it also like, I don't know, I find this idea of like, I'll watch a show about an anti-hero. I fucking loved Breaking Bad. I didn't love, but like Mad Men was good. Um, even though Don Draper was a fucking asshole. But I don't want to be the bad guy in a game like this. Like I've done a Mass Effect run where I'm evil for fun, but like I don't want to be
You're a
Saren.
sociopath.
Right. But like I don't want to be Saren in Mass Effect. I want to be fucking Shepard. Like it's so interesting to me that they thought that it was a good idea to just be the bad guy. But so yeah, so I feel like my big thing that I would want changed, if it's not create your own bad guy, I would have liked them to have a narrative reason why I am teaming up with the Justice League, sorry, with the Suicide Squad as a member of the Justice League. Like I would have liked whether it's I'm Batman or the Flash or Superman, like sure, I understand that that would be from a gameplay design perspective, those all of those characters would feel so different. So then just make it a Batman game. We've been Batman 3 times already by Rocksteady, a 4th time if you count the one that Montreal did, which was great by the way. Yeah, have me be fucking Batman, and I have to team up with the Suicide Squad to take down the rest of the Justice League that is being controlled by Brainiac, which is the plot of this game. Like, why not do that? Why not have it to where I'm a character that we like, that you have proven has worked 3 times at least. I don't know. Like I guess when it comes to games as a service, like because part of this is like getting better guns and like finding loot. That's the whole kind of gameplay loop of it all. I guess maybe you couldn't really do that as Batman, but I don't know.
I think the big thing for me is you can just tell from the get-go of this. This game was not designed as a games as a service. This game was designed as a first person, like a first party or like a single player game.
Yeah.
And at some point during development, they were like, "Oh, we have to change this for whatever reason, whether it's pressure from the higher ups or something internally that was like, this is what we need to do." But this did not start as that, because one of the big things I've seen is people would say like, it's not bad playing when you're playing single player and you can swap between all of the different characters. Like that works well. They don't play super different or really there's no, but like what you could have done instead would be like, oh, here's a reason, like as I'm playing, let's say like one enemy type is weak to one particular type of damage and that character is King Shark. So as I'm playing through, I'm having to swap between Deadshot and Harley and Captain Boomerang and King Shark all willy-nilly because I have to do certain things in combat. That sounds exciting, enticing, and different. That sounds like turning Doom into a third-person shooter.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a really cool idea.
It sounds kind of like the Guardians of the Galaxy game. That was fucking great.
Yeah. That's a perfect example. That's what it seems like this game started as. And then it was like, no.
Yeah.
It's not how this works.
Yeah.
And so we have to branch off and now do something different. So if I had to make a change there, I would just make this fucking Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, right. So there's also another part of this that I think is really fascinating that the chat is bringing in. So Mike joined us. Boston Mike, how you doing? He says, I don't know how they keep getting away with this. Suicide Squad content is trash. Terry says, did the Suicide Squad films do well? Is that why we have this game? Or are they trying to make us like the Suicide Squad? And Mike says they were the worst, and then somebody did it again, and it was fine. Then they gave John Cena his own show. That's the other baffling thing about this to me. I think everything Suicide Squad to this point, with the only exception being the Peacemaker show, the John Cena show, I do think is very good. I think the rest of the Suicide Squad stuff we've gotten has been bad. Like, I think the James Gunn movie was bad. Like, it was not as bad as the fucking Jared Leto one, but I think it was a bad movie.
That was real bad.
And like the internet, I think because it was James Gunn, the internet convinced itself that it was a fucking great movie. And it's just not. Like, they're fucking SNL Pete is in it. And people thought that like that made it better. It's like, no, this movie fucking sucks. Like, why do we like the Suicide Squad? And then, Rocksteady's like, we're going to make a whole game about it. You're like, what the fuck? Why are we being the Suicide Squad?
Okay, here's the thing, though. You have to take into consideration that this game has been in development now.
That's true.
2 years. Meaning, Patrick, this game has been in development since probably the Jared Leto Suicide Squad.
Let's see. When did that movie come out?
So this isn't even a scenario or situation in which it's like all of a sudden it's like we're going to cash in on this IP. Like, they've been stewing on this, which is the most mind-boggling portion of the entire thing to me. Why would you stew on this of all things?
So 2016, Jared Leto's Suicide Squad comes out. 2015, Batman Arkham Knight came out. So this game has certainly been in development since the Jared Leto one. Now, they did support Arkham Knight for a while. There was DLC, so like I'm sure they were still working a lot on Arkham Knight when the Jared Leto Suicide Squad stuff was happening. But the way the game development works for a studio the size of Rocksteady, they were in pre-development for that game. So like they would have had so long to be like, hey guys, maybe we don't do a Suicide Squad game. And they still did it.
Patrick, I think it just unraveled the mystery.
To hit me.
This wasn't supposed to be a comedy. This was going to be like Batman Arkham Knight, gritty, dark. It was going to be kill the Justice League, and it was going to be brutal. Then what happens is James Gunn comes in and people latch on to this goofy, lovable version of Suicide Squad. We're so far into development, they are now having to bum rush to try to make a more lighthearted version. And because Rocksteady doesn't know how to make something funny, they just screwed the goddamn pooch.
I think you fucking nailed it on the head, dude. I think that because you remember, I don't remember exactly when this happened, but do you remember when they showed Suicide Squad for the first time, like in earnest, and the backlash was so bad that they were like, hey guys, we'll see you in like 6 months. And they like rehashed a lot of shit. And I bet that happened before they showed us the game with the scenario that you just painted, because that honestly tracks so much. Because that, like, the Rocksteady trilogy, like you said, was so dark and gritty that tonally this game feels, from what I've seen of it, completely on the other end of the spectrum. Man, that's a really fascinating take. I think there is probably more truth to that than we think.
I can't wait for the What Happened episode to come out.
Man.
And a dev be like, we had to change up our entire game. Like, the entire thesis of the game had to change midway through development cycle because of how, like, because of the personality shit of what the Suicide Squad.
Why is it so hard to say? I've been fumbling over it all episode.
I don't know.
Man,
I just know we can't post any of these clips to Instagram, because if we do, and we say the word Suicide Squad, you have to bleep it out, apparently.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Apparently, you get dinged in the algorithm. You get considered like a warning thing. Yeah.
The rhythm, man. I tell you what.
Think about it.
Can I just say, I fucking love doing this podcast.
Oh, man. We uncovered some hard truths.
We're fucking journos, baby.
You know what's also funny, Patrick? I don't know if you remember this, or even know about this. Do you know that there's a Man-Thing, a Marvel Comics Man-Thing movie from the year 2005? And let me just tell you right now, there's boobies in the first 3 minutes. A Marvel movie, okay?
Wow.
And it's on Tubi. So why am I telling you this?
Wow.
I had a hot toddy when I came on to record, and apparently being still kind of sick and then drinking doesn't help the situation. But here's the thing. I don't know why I don't know why I told you that all. Just go watch Man-Thing on Tubi. It's really funny.
I think it's important that you did. Because the fact is,
Hard Truths. That's what we're talking about. It
Hard
was
Truths.
like Steel when I had to tell you about the Shaquille O'Neal film you still haven't watched.
Oh fuck! It's not right by me anymore. I must have put it with my other movies.
That was so funny.
But I think the thing to remember here as we come to a close is headlines don't sell papes. Newsies sell papes. And in this metaphor, we're the newsies and the papes are the podcast.
Sure.
And we're journalists.
Which one of us gets to be Chris? Which one of us gets to be Christian Bale?
I mean, I think it should probably be me, personally.
Probably, yeah.
Removes glasses, looks at the camera. Mostly because I just want to do it. Mike says DC has a superhero problem, and the problem is they stink. P.U. Very good. Kamen, that's our show.
Yes.
That's our show. We uncovered some hard truths. We sold some papes, and I don't know that there's a point to come back anymore because we fucking solved it. But we're gonna be back next week, Doggy Dog. We're gonna be back next Tuesday, as we always are on Tuesdays. But also, we're gonna be streaming Wednesdays moving forward, starting next Wednesday. Not tomorrow or yesterday as a release. Wednesday, Rose and I are going to be doing Last of Us Part 2 on twitch.tv/SpotlightGamesPod. An entire playthrough every Wednesday starting at 8 p.m. On Valentine's Day, I believe. So be sure to follow us on twitch.tv/SpotlightGamesPod so that you know when that goes live. Also, Spot Games Pod on Twitter and Spotlight GameSpot everywhere else. You can follow me at Patrick Schwag. Kamen, where can they follow you?
You can follow me at the Dumpster Boy on Twitter.
Let's go. I had a great time. I hope you did too. Let us know how you would fix Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. And until then, I hope you have a great rest of your day. And just go to somebody and say, I love you.